Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Positive Youth Lesson 4. Hopefully, you all tried the ABCDE model that we talked about yesterday. If the journal of gratitude is considered a shortcut to positive emotion, I would consider ABCDE model the permanent solution. If you have trouble dealing with unexpected or unwanted things in life or negative things, such as what we're going through right now. Practice ABCD model until it's automatic. As I had shared in the Q&A, if you practice ABCDE model, doesn't need to be more than just one adversity, one incident per day, but continuously for about 5 weeks. This way of thinking will become automatic, and that's going to be part of you. So if you master this ABCD model, that's going to be helping you for the rest of your life. Give it a try. So 2 things that we talked about. One is the gratitude journal, to keep a journal of things that you appreciate or are grateful for each day, continuously. Again, continuously. That's the key word. And also practice the ABCD model. This too will guarantee that you will have a more positive mood than negative feelings. Right. Today we're going to summarize what we talked about the last 3 classes. We talked about physiological factors. We didn't emphasize on healthy diet, but that's helpful too. The healthy food, which means those who are rich in protein and fibers and stuff, not those high on sugars. Those will give you a sugar rush, and then you're going to feel down. Sleeping, that's very important. Exercising, those 2, please keep it up during the shelter-in-place weeks. That's going to guarantee that physiologically you have a biological base for your positive emotion. And the second group of factors are psychological factors. So one student raised a very good question in Q&A last session. Said, what is autonomy? Autonomy and competence and connection. So those we're going to continue discussing them in the future classes. I just want to share a little bit what I told you during the Q&A. Autonomy means you do things because you want to do it, not because you feel forced by others. So when you feel like that's what you want, you have intrinsic motivation and you have more positive emotions. Competence, you're good at something. We all need that. Just like one classmate asked, raise my grade, I'll have positive emotions. Yes, that is right. You need to feel you're good at something, you achieve something, and then that'll bring positive emotions. Connections, everybody need to feel the sense of belonging. Security, you trust yourself no matter what happens. You trust in your value, you trust in yourself, you trust that you are loved by people around you or people that are important to you, especially your family, your parents. So those are the sense of security. So those are our basic psychological needs. When those needs are met through our interaction with others, through our daily life and tasks, that'll bring more positive emotions. So I want to just show you this chart one more time before we move on to the next session, because those are there was somebody asking about what gave us motivation to do well. So those are also the 3 factors that leads to motivation, intrinsic motivation. You're motivated to do your best to develop to your full potential. So we're going to talk about them more in the future classes. I want you to keep that in mind, because today about our first lesson in relationship, it's very important too. Autonomy, competence, relatedness. Those are very important things for our relationship as well. Why? Wait until we enter this class. So before we move on to the next class, I want to touch base on one more thing. Also raised by one of our students, one of our classmates in Q&A yesterday. He or she asked me, is there something like too much positive emotion? Yesterday we talked about optimism. Yes, there is a such thing called overly optimistic. overly optimistic like me, I belong to one of them. So my fatal mistake is I always underestimate challenges. For example, for this coronavirus, I really did not think it was that serious until I already found myself underprepared. I did not prepare any like medicine that can help the lungs, help breathing. I did not prepare any lethal the lethal sprays. So by the time that I thought, oh, this is more serious than what I thought, and then it's all gone. I cannot order any of that online. So that's a mistake that overly optimistic people often make. We underestimate challenges. Just like this picture says, who needs a parachute when you have a smile? Yes, you do need a parachute when you jump from the airplane, even though you have a smile. So we also, the content that we talk about today also has something to say with that too. Yes, there is something called too much positive emotions. There are many things in life we have to deal with our negative emotions. For example, when we have the fear, when we feel the fear, we are more prepared and we are more ready to face a danger. So that's negative emotions such as fear is there to protect us. If we do not feel the fear when the situation is really dangerous, we will be underprepared. So too much. So life is not just about positive emotion. I shared with everybody the first class, negative emotion is very important to us too, to our life and to our well-being. It's there to protect us. So yes, there is such a thing called overly optimistic. I want everyone to be realistically optimistic. We do not imagine things. We base our disputation, the D, based on real evidence, not based on made up information. So when we dispute that automatic negative thoughts, the B, belief, we use real information, real evidence, things that we experienced in the past or learned in the past. We look at ourselves in a realistic light, not in the with the pink glass. So that's all. So we're done with the positive emotion section, but I want to assure you that the next 15 lessons, every single one will help us to promote positive emotions. Okay, today we're going to talk about relationship. The first lesson, what makes a relationship healthy? Relationship is one of the most important, significant dimension to happiness. So what makes a relationship healthy? In the first lesson, I did share with you that many researches shows that, including a longitudinal study. Longitudinal study means that they follow up people each year, many years, sometimes follow them up for the whole life and determine to study what's important and what's not. So the study by Harvard University is called Harvard University Adult Study. So they followed up the sophomores back in 1939. They followed them through all their life, and then until they're like 75 or more years old, and then say what correlates with happy and fulfilling life. And the conclusion that will surprise you is relationship. They figured out that the relationship, especially with your mom and dad, predict your future success and the sense of fulfillment and the satisfaction with your life at age 75. So have a good relationship with your mom and dad that not only predict your happiness, health, and also your well-being at age 75, but also correlates with a higher income. Can you imagine that? So especially your relationship with your mom. So that's one of the findings from this study. I'll share more information in the future classes. So relationship is very important. It correlates with our sense of well-being, with our confidence too. I work with junior high and high school students, and I can see that when they don't feel welcomed by their friends or don't even have friends, I mean, you all in junior high and high school, when we have lunch, nobody sits with you. That's a big blow to yourself. With friends, relationships, and family relationships are all very important. So what makes a relationship healthy? I like this chart. I found it on Google Images. So honesty, understanding, mutual respect, compromise, safety, trust, good manners, and individuality, which means that they respect you as who you are, not compare you with others and trying to make you to be in line with others. So this are all very important to our relationships. So today we're going to focus on one thing, because each class we only have 15, 20 minutes. I want to focus on one thing that can help you with your relationship. That is good communication. So communication is the thing that we actually can easily grasp, acquire the skills, and apply in our lives.